This is Conor Benn for IFLTV.
Hoodie.
To be fair, you put me on the jet today. I don't know how I blagged myself on that one.
That's all right. Nice to be in your neck of the woods.
Well,
It's emotional when you touch down, like.
But you know what it is? It's actually nice to be back, and it's nice to have big time boxing back in Belfast because I feel like we've been starved of it. So
It's what happens when Eddie Hearn rolls into town.
Eddie Hearn for the weekend. We'll touch on this weekend in a minute. I need to speak about yesterday. I've never seen you, and I mean this respectfully, as rattled as what you were yesterday. Like, Eubank kind of had a little pop at you. He got you a little bit under your skin, I think. And then Ben Shalom as well. Like, what did you make of it?
I wasn't really rattled. If you're talking about rattled levels, I was definitely more rattled by Eubank because he does wind me up. Like, I find him so rude and so arrogant, but that's his game. So, and it's great to watch. Do you know what I mean? So, I'm not say dislike him, but I just look at him and think, and in the end, it's like that's really the reaction that he wants. So yeah, Ben's just Ben. Like, I just like not even the banter, but just listening to the wildness of the comments that he gives you guys normally. That's why I like coming into the interviews now. But yeah, I mean, I didn't go to bed last night going, oh, I'm so rattled. But I think, yeah, he does wind me up a bit, Eubank, because I just think he's a plonker.
In terms of the things that Eubank was saying yesterday, why do you think he didn't want you to have a voice in the press conference?
I think a mixture of a few things. I think, number one, easy target, yeah? Like, go at Eddie, it'll be a bit of a talking point, blah, blah, blah. Two, I guess we've never really got on. He's never really liked me, I don't think. I mean, you know, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but obviously a lot more successful than him. Going to be a Hall of Famer. He's not. And also, probably what happened last time, if I'm honest. Like, I don't think he's probably overly happy with how that all played out. There's a lot that went on that he leaves out of the story. He does that quite well. But Chris doesn't really know everything about what he's talking about. You know, like, you know, the main thing from yesterday, which, I mean, a lot of what he says is actually completely untrue. Like, when he says we put in the contract that he's not allowed to say anything bad about promoters, I didn't do his contract. Matchroom had nothing to do with his contract. I don't think he even knows that. But if he thinks about it, his contract is with Seller and Saudi Arabia, not with Matchroom. Nothing to do with us. So I had nothing to do with what went in his contract. That's a standard clause that goes into all of their contracts. But if he wants to blame me, I don't know. But and loads of other stuff as well, like around the rematch, around this, and, you know. But he is good viewing. It is good viewing, and we always want entertainment at the press conferences. And if it comes at my expense, sometimes it is what it is. I can hold my own. Sometimes, you know, might be rattled, but didn't feel rattled. I was just looking at him thinking, you are such a knob. That is what I thought. So if that's rattled, yeah, maybe I was rattled, but he's a painful geezer.
When he mentioned the 50 grand towards the undercard fighters from the first time round, you kind of suggested straight away, well, look, we got everyone back on a show straight away. Did you or did you not? Because we're a bit confused and say that you would match the 50 grand.
No, I never said that at all. Never said that at all. I thought he was going to say 50 grand per fighter. I mean, there are about 12 or 13, maybe 14 fighters, maybe more, maybe 16 fighters. Still going to be $3 each. It's nice little gesture, but I mean, when he's making all this incredible money from this number that he gave his ex, I mean, he's very smart on his negotiations. I mean, to say a big number first, knowing that they might come down a little bit and meet somewhere in the middle, wow, that is unbelievable skills. So it's just, everything's a PR stunt. He's got his phone, yeah, and he's got all his points on his phone and his notes that people have told him to say, and he's going through. You see, you only got to watch it back. He's like, this one, right, this one. Yeah, also, something that's been troubling me. I've been troubling him so bad. I mean, You know, those undercard fighters, I don't think he slept for 2.5 years thinking about those undercard fighters. It's all point scoring. So all of those fighters, someone posted yesterday, all got out. That's our job. Sometimes fights fall through. Unfortunately it did, and we got everybody out, and now they're going to get an extra $3,000 each or something like that, which is nice.
Who is it you believe that's given him these? Because you say there he's got notes on his phone and he's being fed information. Who do you think it's coming from?
Chris is quite creative, I think. I don't think Chris is an idiot. Like, he, you know, a lot of it comes from him, but there's people around him, and Ben, and, you know, there's history on press conferences. I'm not going to go into it, but we've seen it before, and it's just a game, really, you know what I mean? Like, for him, the views and the noise and the viral stuff, that's what's important. And he done a good job. I mean, done a job whereby the tickets, there is absolutely no doubt Chris Eubank Jr.'s antics this week has made the fight bigger. No doubt. So in that respect, he's done a great job.
Eddie, when you see images of Nigel Benn with his hands around Chris Eubank's throat, do you believe Senior watches that and maybe feels a bit emotional that he hasn't made himself available for his son?
I don't know. I hope that, listen, for the promotion, I hope that Senior is involved. But for them, I hope that Senior is involved, because I know what my relationship's like with my dad. And if I was a boxer in a fight like this, I would want my dad right next to me. And he would be phoning me every night. He would be watching every spar. Every time, every night before I went to bed, he would say, "Come on, son, you got this." Do you know what I mean? And that's why I think, you know, I never like to see people fall out in a family perspective, especially father and son, given my relationship and, you know, my closeness with my dad. And I see the role that Nigel's playing in this camp. And it's extremely productive and beneficial for Conor Benn to have the input of Nigel in this camp. And the great thing you saw with Nigel yesterday was he's mature and he's sensible, right? Nigel Benn 20 years ago, if Chris Eubank Jr. would have disrespected him like that yesterday and said what he said, the whole place would have been turned upside down. There might not have been a Premier League game on Saturday at Spurs for the state of the building, but he's older now, he's wiser, and he's okay, no problem. I apologise, Chris. And that was that for me, that was the most wild, intense moment of yesterday's press conference. Like, I was actually quite shocked by that. I didn't expect that from Eubank Jr., but I feel like he's just on one, so he doesn't really care.
Ben Shalom had a few comments. The first thing I'll come to you with is, did you send him the contract for the $1 million in escrow this morning, like you said you would?
He said he wouldn't do it. He said it live on your channel. I'm not doing that. You can't. At the end of the day, look, I think there's Ben is one of the great victim players. I said this to him last night, and he absolutely. I mean, I'm a promoter. Not everything I say is gospel truth. I bend the truth. I exaggerate. He just comes out with bizarre lies, right? And I put him up on it all the time, like the ones yesterday. Yeah, I'm getting more money than Conor Benn. And AJ has signed to fight Bacone. Like, weird statements and weird lies. So, you know, I'll have a big bet on it with him. But he don't, you know, that's all jest anyway. Like, at the end of the day, betting on a fight, one, we're not even allowed to bet on fights as a promoter. But that's just jest. And, you know, so... yeah, I know how dangerous this fight is. I know it's a 50-50 fight, but I just believe Conor Benn wins the fight. And I believe he does it early.
In terms of, obviously, you, Ben Shalom, have you had any conversation with him since last night?
Yeah. He messaged me a picture of me and him. And he said, and I said something like, your dream pic or something like that. And he said, can you post it on your Instagram? And I'll collab on it. I was like, oh my God. And that's what I said to you. I find him quite amusing in an awkward, weird kind of way. I don't like lie is a strong word, but I don't like some of the weird statements. But Yeah, I don't know. These everyone's out there doing their best, aren't they? So yeah, I said I'd collab. I'd post at some point for him, give him some followers.
In terms of Conor Benn, he's very reserved, very calm, very different to Conor Benn maybe that we've seen in the lead up to the last fight. We've seen him very heated at times. He seems very cool, calm. Do you reckon that's because, yeah,
just focused, to be honest. Like, I think when you go through what he's been through, less things bother you. Do you understand? Like, just that's the way it goes. So he's been up, down, out, you know, abused, you know, left out on the heap. You know, people turn their back on him, and it hardens you as an individual. So I don't think he's quite as emotional. Obviously, when Eubank whacked him, he was emotional. But I just feel like he just wants to get back to training camp and just wants to get stuck in.
what's the conversations been like in private between you and Conor? We've seen a little bit on Matchroom socials where you and Conor had a bit of a moment after the egg situation. What has he been saying to you in private behind all of this?
Just that he wants to smash him to pieces, and he can't wait for April 26th. He don't like him. He thinks he's rude. He thinks he's disrespectful. He wants to beat him really bad, and he just wants to get back to training camp. And you know, there was a major interview done last night, which apparently was electric viewing. I guess that'll drop soon. And I think that's it now, really. I think maybe this weekend they're doing some bits and pieces, and then back to training camp. And yeah, he's all right. He's chilled. I think, like I said, the influence of his dad in this situation and this camp will be really good for him.
We've seen some of the greatest rivalries in the sport kind of turn a little bit sour, and then after the fight, everyone becomes friends. Do you think that'll ever happen between these two?
No, because Eubank, I don't think he wants relationships with anyone, if I'm honest. He's a cold guy, and I get it. And I don't think he's bothered about relationships in general with friends. Like, I think he's got his own little world and fuck everybody else, and I get it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't expect Eubank and Ben to be friends. I do expect the rivalry and the fight to be so good that we see it again, and maybe again, and maybe we end up with a situation like the Fathers, which was one of the greatest rivalries in the history of our sport. But that was because of the fights and the magnitude of the rewards, which was the world middleweight and world super middleweight titles. Do you know what I mean? This is, I believe these guys are world-class fighters, but there's no belts on the line. This fight is about the narrative and the rivalry and the Fathers. And I don't disagree with this fight's only big because of the dads. No. That's, of course, part of the storyline. This fight is big because of those two. The reaction over the last couple of days and, the rate in which the tickets have sold, it's nothing. You can't say that's only because of the dads. It's not. Some people buying tickets and following these two don't know about the dads. They're young, But, of course, the storyline is epic.
Eddie, before we end this, we do need to speak about this weekend. Massive event in Belfast. Just talk to me a little bit about this show and the main event itself.
Just really pleased, to be honest with you. I mean, I said to His Excellency yesterday, like, what we're seeing at the moment is boxing is elevating everywhere. And that's because it's red hot. And that's because everybody's talking about it. And that's because we're seeing great fights. And we're seeing a reflection of that across all of our shows. Like, I feel like 8,000 for CROCKER Donovan is a real reflection of, obviously we're in Belfast, and people in Belfast, they know their boxing. They love their boxing. And when it's a great show, they will come. And it's a great show on Saturday night, and it's a brilliant fight. But boxing's flying at the moment. And, I love being out here because everybody knows about the show. Whether you're in a taxi or you're getting a coffee, everyone, I'm going Saturday, I've got my ticket, who do you think? Crocker or Donovan, would you? And they know about the undercard. They know their boxing. So always love being in Belfast. Weigh-ins tonight at 6 p.m. If you get this out in time. You're a bit lazy these days, Cole. ICC Theatre, and tomorrow morning, Fight Day 5K. Yeah?
Yep, do that.
Gonna run it? Come on, in your hometown. it's at Falls Park, and we've had massive. You wait till you see the crowd tomorrow for the run. It's going to be brilliant. So, really, really looking forward to tomorrow night. I had a time of my life last Saturday in Riyadh, but this is a great event to be a part of, and I can't wait to feel the atmosphere in Belfast.
Eddie Hearn, appreciate your time. Thanks, mate.